Guys, I want to just dedicate this episode just demystify the difference between central bank digital currencies, the famous CBDCs, and Bitcoin, and why I ultimately come to a conclusion quite rapidly why Bitcoin is the most secure digital asset out there in terms of preserving your own wealth, thinking about your future legacy needs. So let's jump straight into it. So first of all, let's just discuss what are CBDCs actually. These are central bank digital currencies. They are digital versions, if you like, of a country fiat currency, whether it's a US dollar, a euro, or a pound sterling, that are issued and regulated by the central bank. They aim to modernize payments and maintain government control of a currency in the digital age. In other words, CBDCs are government-backed digital currencies that use blockchain or distributed ledger technology. Just to give you a state of where the CBDC as a worldwide initiative, what's the current status of that? Because there are several pilots and also several countries that are in researching the CBDC potential. Some have been cancelled, some have been put off, and so on. So just to give you a breakdown, so there are indeed many countries, including China, where they've introduced a digital yuan, and Europe a digital euro. These are examples of CBDCs currencies. There are currently being tested or launched CBDCs to streamline payments and enhance financial inclusion and maintain monetary sovereignty in a rapidly digitizing world. Now, out of the 134 countries being tracked for CBDCs, only 3 of them actually have been launched and in full swing operation. Now, these 3 countries are the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Nigeria. 39 out of those 134, as I said earlier on, are currently researching the potential of CBDCs, are actually introducing that in their own countries. This includes 2 countries in Europe, mostly Eastern European countries, a few in Asia, and several in Africa and Latin America. 44 are currently in the pilot phase of CBDCs, with the remainder are either inactive, being cancelled, or currently in development. With CBDCs, governments could essentially have more control over individual transactions, which sparks concerns about privacy and surveillance. They could actually track spending and even impose further restrictions on how money is actually used. Now, there was a recent example of this where the Canadian government have actually frozen a handful of bank accounts as a response to a protest from a handful of truckers, right? So this is clearly an evidence and a sign that the actual extent of which any state or government can actually abuse or just superimpose their power, whether it's through seizing assets, freezing assets, and God knows what else, right? So just to bear that in mind, this is an example, and indeed could be many more out there. So just be wary about the CBDCs, and I'll explain later on why I come to a rapid conclusion that it's not a good idea to bandwagon on that initiative. Now, on the other hand, with Bitcoin, unlike CBDCs, Bitcoin is not controlled by any government or control authority or central authority. It's decentralized in nature, which means it operates free from national policies with a capped supply of 21 million Bitcoin, positioning it as a store of value akin to digital gold. Now, Bitcoin's peer-to-peer system offers financial freedom and resistance to censorship. It allows individuals to transact without the need for intermediaries like banks, providing more autonomy over one's wealth. CBDCs are programmable money, which means that governments could program rules into the digital currency, like expiration dates or restrictions on spending. Bitcoin, on the other hand, offers users freedom without imposed limitations. That is essentially the main difference. The proponents of CBDCs could always argue that CBDCs are a tool for inflation control, allowing governments to implement more precise monetary policies. But we all know that is a complete fallacy and falsehood, since Bitcoin, with its fixed supply, is often seen as an inflation hedge, immune to government-induced currency debasement. Now, as countries race to issue CBDCs, we can see geopolitical implications, with digital currencies reshaping global trade and finance. Bitcoin offers a more neutral global option, which is not tied to any government. CBDCs and Bitcoin coexist, or will one dominate? I think that's the million-dollar question. Bitcoin enthusiasts argue that CBDCs reinforce the need for decentralized assets like Bitcoin to protect against state overreach. In future, where CBDCs are widespread, Bitcoin could play a vital role in preserving financial sovereignty, offering a truly decentralized alternative in an increasingly centralized financial landscape. However, CBDCs remain under government control, meaning they're still tied to the issues plaguing traditional fiat currencies such as money printing, inflation, and currency debasement. Central banks can continue to expand the money supply, risking economic instability and reducing the purchasing power of the currency. In contrast, Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million prevents such debasement, offering a more stable, long-term store of value outside government influence. So it's very clear to me, having gone through the various arguments for and against CBDCs and Bitcoin, that for me Bitcoin is really the only alternative. It's the only solution that could actually combat the detriments of the fiat currency system. And that's precisely what Bitcoin aims to achieve, is to provide more sovereignty over your own finances, thereby preserving your wealth in the long term, further away from the clutches of government and central bank control. It's not to give you an anarchist argument for Bitcoin, it's really the contrary. It's just to provide back the power to the individual, leaving the individual to decide what is best without reducing or deteriorating the purchasing power and the wealth of their savings. That's ultimately what we want to achieve through Bitcoin, nothing more than that. So hopefully you found this episode interesting, and if you have, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't done so, to please subscribe to my channel, as I regularly post some videos that could be of interest to you investors out there. So until next time,